Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank.
And I'm Dan.
Coming up today, we're going to talk about why would atheists want to get married?
Yeah, we're going to
This
talk
is-
about marriage as a concept.
Kind of traditionally religious thingy,
Yeah,
but not
what is it?
religious.
What the hell is it?
It has overtones.
It's
and
a weird
tradition, religious traditions that still seem to be a part of it somehow. And
Right.
so we just kind of want to talk about it a
A
little
lot of people convinced that the only reason to get married is religious reason.
bit. Yeah,
So maybe we'll explore that.
it's going to be a fun topic.
Oh, we're just going to have a ball. Are you kidding me? It's going to be fantastic.
Anyways.
But before we do that, tell us a story, Frank.
Well, I think it's never too early in the season, too early in the year to talk about Christmas.
Oh, are we going to declare war on it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Someone has declared war back,
Oh, good.
which is,
Against the non-existent war on Christmas?
that's the one. Yeah.
they're defending themselves.
And the war, the volley back is from a childhood favorite.
Oh, Captain Kangaroo?
No.
Oh.
Kirk Cameron. Yeah, he was on that Growing Pains show.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
We've all felt his growing pains.
He has announced, and in fact, I believe it's been filmed already, but the film is coming out this November. It is. He says it's a pro-Christmas film.
Oh, good.
It's called Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas.
Oh.
And unlike some of his other film attempts of late, this is actually a fiction narrative piece. It employs actors and a script and whatnot. It's not a documentary.
Right.
And so Saving Christmas is, it will hammer political correctness and frustrate atheist activists.
Oh, no. I'm frustrated already. I'm already frustrated.
Well, I'm frustrated that a film like that can get made.
Well, this is the guy that, he made the Left Behind movie, and I think there wasn't there one where he was a Christian fireman or something?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, he it's the story of a guy named Christian White. This is a quote. Okay.
Wait. No, you can't get to that yet. You just said his name is Christian White?
Who, and this is a quote from Cameron himself, Christian White, who represents the typical white Christian male.
Oh my fucking God. Oh, holy shit. You have to give me time to process this. Because
It's very clever. It's very clever. Do you see what he's done there?
he's actually said, not only has he said, like it's not just in his head. He's like, oh, white Christians, we need to band together. He's like, let's just make it the name of the character.
Yeah. Christian White.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just the name of the character. So,
Oh my God, it's amazing. It's amazing. I bet the bad guy is named Sirius Black.
Oh, or Muslim black.
Yeah, well, there is that. Yeah.
So, would you like to hear a little bit of the trailer?
Oh my God. Okay.
Do you want to hear a little bit of the trailer? The trailer's fun.
We better.
Let's listen to some of this trailer.
Do that.
Do you ever feel like Christmas has been hijacked?
Hey, where's Christian? How's he doing? Is he okay?
Oh, he's fine, really. He's just not into Christmas this year, that's all.
By all the commercialism and those who want to replace Merry Christmas with Happy Holidays or Season's Greetings, whatever that means.
You okay?
This is not what Christmas is all about.
Some want to pull down every manger scene and tell us why our favorite Christmas traditions are wrong.
Newsflash, not in the Bible. That's a pagan idol symbol. It was the winter solstice. Jesus was not born in December. It's exactly what the Druids did. It's like a carjacking, but like of our religion. And guess what? Santa got in the car, kicked Jesus out, and was like, rolling, 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 and took it.
Isn't it time somebody spoke up? Everything you see inside there, it's all about Christmas. It's all about Jesus.
So yeah, cue the inspiring images of nativity scenes and whatnot. But it's all about Jesus. The Christmas tree is about Jesus. And see, this is part of his thing. Is he's saying he's trying to debunk all these bad ideas that have gone out about like the pagan roots of Christmas and that it's a Christian co-opting of
Saturnalia,
exactly,
whatever.
Right? And he's trying to debunk fact.
Right.
And it's really, really, really amazing. And this is the poster. Look at the poster.
Yeah, I saw that. I pulled it up myself. The poster is like he's holding a candy cane like a weapon, a giant candy cane, and he's like, crashing through Christmas.
But what I love is that the whole thing, it says saving Christmas, put Christ back in Christmas is sort of the tagline for the film. And in his putting Christ back into Christmas, he's defending the non-Christian elements.
Right.
Like I find that mind-boggling because I'm fine with I'm actually thinking about maybe putting up a Christmas tree this year.
Sure, why not?
Like it's just a fun thing to do.
Well, you and I have talked about that we like Christmas.
Yeah.
There are aspects of it that are annoying, but in general, I mean, Christmas
the Jesus part.
You get together, you sing, you give each other presents, you light some lights.
Take back a little bit of that. I actually like a nativity scene.
Sure.
It's fun.
It's cute. Whatever.
As long as you remember that it didn't happen.
Right. It's fake.
But Santa's fake, and I like Santa.
Right, exactly.
So I like Jesus too, because he's fake.
And I do like Jesus. Jesus had a lot of cool.
Jesus.
I like most of Jesus. He had a lot of cool shit to say.
I like my Jesus in baby form.
Well, that is the best.
He's
Jesus.
the cutest Jesus,
and he doesn't cry. He's a baby that doesn't cry.
He's the perfect baby.
He's the perfect baby. Why wouldn't you love that baby? That's a great baby.
Cute baby,
right?
But don't be good around that baby because he could smite you.
Just as you and I have both participated in the making of film.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to say, did the sound as bad to you as it did to me?
It was bad audio.
It's bad audio. Just record your audio better, for Christ's sake. Get it for Christ's sake. For the sake of Jesus Christ.
And also that sort of the way the dialogue and the scenes were laying flat.
Oh, yeah.
That's called air.
Yeah.
They need to get the air out just a little bit. Get that dead air out. Get it out.
Apparently, it's hard to find a good a good post-production team.
Yeah.
To do a really, really shitty movie.
And actors would help too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, as an actor, I have to say, anyone out there who wants to make a film, we're useful in that endeavor. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to switch us to talk about my wife's one of her favorite clothing chains.
Oh.
Zara, which we have none of in Utah. There's not a single Zara in Utah, much to the chagrin of Andrea. But every time we go to any of the other places, we have to hit up the Zara.
Yeah, okay.
Including in Spain, which is where Zara is based.
Right.
Anyway, they released a lovely thing. They were calling it sort of a sheriff's outfit, or inspired by a sheriff of the Old West.
Cute.
Let me just
wait.
describe it to you, just so you have a sense of it. This is for kids.
For kids.
It's for little
I was
kids.
like, is this for women? For men?
No. It's an adorable little kids thing.
Okay. All right.
It's black and white stripes with a yellow 6-pointed star on the chest.
On the sheriff's shield on the chest.
Well, you could call it a sheriff's shield. Or you could say that this was like a Jew's uniform from Dachau. Because that's exactly what it looks like.
But for a child.
So
cute. It's cute.
It looks like something the Nazis forced you to wear. But it's adorable. Oh my God.
So some people took exception to this.
Yeah, it's strange. You'd think that they'd just be fine. The shirt was produced in Turkey and was sold in the Albanian, French, Israeli, and Swedish online stores. I'm going to repeat that second to last one there because it kind of got buried. Israeli. It was sold in the online store in Israel.
So were people offended?
I would imagine so. Zara apparently sent out tweets in every language they could muster, apologizing for it and finding a way. Basically they pulled it. Obviously,
Why? It's cute.
Nope. No cowboys and Indians for these folks, or cowboys and Jews, or whatever you play.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, that was a bit of a problem. Oh well.
Yeah,
Every now and then, I don't know.
The kid doesn't know what's going on. They don't know the history.
No, not at all.
So I mean,
But the grown-up people who designed this, then who produced it, then who put it onto the website, someone along the way had to go, well, that's kind of questionable. Hang on a tick. What does that remind me of? Oh my God. It's amazing.
What was sort of the age that it was designed for, would you say? Like children is one. I mean, is this like a kid who's in the 4th grade, like child size, or is this for like a toddler?
It's hard for me to say.
Because
it looks like it doesn't look like for a big kid. Probably like 4 to 7.
Oh, that's cute.
Something like that.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway.
So a misstep.
A mild, perhaps slightly tone-deaf thing to be putting out onto the market.
It's fashion.
It is
Dan, do not argue with fashion.
We honestly
It's hot this year.
Here's Zara responding to a tweet. We honestly apologize. It was inspired by the sheriff stars from the classic Western films and is no longer in our stores.
But the black and white stripe? What was that? Like, that's more prison garb.
It was a sheriff that went to jail. That sheriff was a bad sheriff, and he went to jail.
Oh, poor guy. Shouldn't do that.
But you can learn the words for apologize in many different languages if you go to their Twitter account.
We meant no offense.
Wir bitten Entschuldigung. Nous sommes sincèrement désolés.
Oh, no. Okay. All right. Well, I have the story of, Hajj is coming up.
Oh.
The annual pilgrimage to Mecca.
Sure.
Right, for Muslims.
I do that yearly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the place to be.
Oh, no, that's Burning Man. Never mind.
Yeah. This is in October, actually.
Oh, okay.
This year.
I'm actually not at Burning Man's happening as we speak, and I'm not there.
Right now.
I'm
So
lying
sad.
in all of the ways. Sorry, Hajj.
damn.
Back to Mecca.
Back to the thing that we were talking about.
Okay, go to Mecca.
Well, Muslims from around the world travel every year, and it's something like 2 or 3 million, I think, or something like that, show up. And the Saudi government has, they've built crazy infrastructure just for this like one event that happens every year, but they're committed to making sure that it's safe and that basic human needs are met.
Sure.
Like places to
poop.
Exactly, and make sure that there's food and right?
All of the things.
Places to sleep even. Although I've seen video of the Hajj and there's people sleeping on the side of the road and stuff. So, anywho, apparently, if you are a U.S. Muslim, you face potential harassment.
What?
This is when a group of 27 Muslim American groups have joined forces, and they are asking the U.S. State Department to better protect them from violence.
Wow.
Yeah, right? Violence. Yeah.
Against their fellow Muslims.
And it's supposed to, Islam means peace.
Yeah.
Unless you're an American citizen who's Muslim and you're going to do one of the 5 things that is required of you
Right.
from Islam. Because all Muslims are required to do pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in their life.
Right.
If you have the means, there is sort of an exception if you are unable,
stricken
in some
by
way.
poverty or physically
infirm or
yes,
whatever. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And so the however, the U.S. Doesn't really have a lot of influence inside Saudi Arabia. This is clearly the State Department is having to work with their counterparts in the Saudi Arabian government to try to convince them that maybe perhaps Americans should be protected when visiting their country.
Yeah.
So
Hey, leave our Muslims alone. Don't be mean.
but I think that it's kind of crazy. Their letter, part of their letter reads, this is written to John Kerry, the Secretary of State. It says, "We urge you to take immediate action to protect American citizens who travel overseas to perform one of the 5 mandatory acts of their faith and ensure that Saudi Arabia addresses this urgent security matter in preparation for the upcoming Hajj pilgrimage." I have a little issue with how that's phrased, and I don't know if it's just me or I think that they should just be calling on the State Department to protect American citizens who are abroad.
Right.
And pointing out the fact that they will be in Saudi Arabia between this date and that date.
Right.
And that it's not, hey, hey, sorry, we're just doing something that's required of us. Excuse me.
Right.
It just seems a little I don't care about the religious thing. They're U.S. citizens. They should be protected by the State Department.
Right.
Period.
Well, I mean, excuse me. I'm getting over a cold, folks. I apologize for how I sound, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, the U.S. has a pretty large population of Muslims.
Yeah.
I mean, it's over 2 million
Yeah.
Muslims in the U.S.
Well, I mean, 27 official groups are going this year.
So we've got a big population of Muslims. And frankly, U.S. Muslims are probably going to be in a better position to do the Hajj than Muslims from a lot of much poorer countries.
Sure. Right.
So you'd think, it's only going to help your economy, Saudi. Get us out there. You want that sweet, sweet American money flowing through your economy.
Yeah. Well, and clearly, and if you can't handle it, you don't want, Hajj to go someplace else.
Yeah.
Because
the last thing you
let
want.
me tell you, Las Vegas could handle this event.
Oh, Las Vegas could put on an amazing Hajj.
Oh, my God.
I mean, they'd probably do it out
great.
in Henderson, Nevada, like just sort of outside of.
Sure, but
you
they've
want it
got the
off
convention
strip.
space for it.
Oh, they've got it. They've got it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think we can't throw a good Hajj? Let me tell you something,
We'll throw
Saudi.
our own. We'll keep our dollars here.
We'll blow the doors off your Hajj. Nobody will be coming to your Hajj. People will be facing west when they do their prayers. You put it anywhere in the U.S. and we will throw you the best fucking Hajj you ever saw in your life.
We've got meteorites.
Oh my God, we got everything you can
We
imagine.
can build a big box around a meteorite.
Oh yeah,
Done.
Yeah. You want a shiny black square? We can make a shiny black square.
Done.
Ours is bigger than yours.
Done. We can make pillars and throw rocks at it.
Oh sure. You want to walk in a
We're
circle?
capable of this.
We're going to make it the most comfortable circle to walk that you've ever seen.
Yeah. It will make a big rotating room is what we'll do.
You don't even have
People
to walk.
don't have to walk. They can just stand in one place.
Stand there.
Go around 7 times or whatever it is.
It'll just rotate you through.
Around.
Matter of
Big
fact,
turntable.
it's like a spirally thing. It rotates you through. You get to the middle, and then it like sends you out.
And then you descend
or
it shoots
ascend.
you. It shoots you up.
We'll solve it.
Yeah.
Your Hajj will look stupid compared to our Hajj. This is America, goddammit. We know how to do things.
Yeah.
We go big or we go home.
We can do conventions.
Fuck yeah.
This is clearly just a big convention.
Yeah.
So
it's
fine.
It's like Comic Con, only it's Muslim Con.
Muslim Con.
Your Hajj is gonna
Islacom.
is going to be destroyed when MuslimCon comes to town. Destroyed.
MeccaCon.
MeccaCon, which sounds like isn't that one of Godzilla's arch nemesis? MeccaCon.
I don't know. It sounds pretty good.
What about ShakaCon?
Ah,
No. Well, there you go. All right. With the challenge, the gauntlet has been thrown. Saudi.
you either take care of our citizens or we're just going to do our own.
Yeah, and we're gonna throw it. We're gonna start a town called Mecca,
New Mecca.
New Mecca, Ohio,
Yeah.
and fuck your Mecca. All right. Well, I'm gonna move from Mecca to Salt Lake City, Utah.
Another Mecca of sorts.
A Mecca of sorts, indeed. Where we all every year we walk around Temple Square 7 times. And then we...
That's not true.
That's not true at all.
I have walked around Temple Square in
As
protest.
As have I.
Yeah.
As have I. A federal judge has recently finalized an order striking part of Utah's bigamy law.
What?
Now, this comes as a result of a prosecution of... Does the name Cody Brown mean anything to you?
Yeah, it's the Sister Wives.
That's right.
TLC's The Sister Wives.
Cody is married to Mary, Janelle, Christine, and Robin Brown. He is the face of polygamy, of suburban polygamy.
Yeah.
On television.
Yeah.
And so they had this show. It clearly runs counter to Utah law. Because it, surprisingly to many people, it is against the law to be in a polygamous arrangement here in the state of Utah. So the way that they've kind of gotten around it has been that they, legally, he's only married to one of them, and then he just sort of cohabits with the rest of them.
Oh.
Well, technically, that's illegal too.
Yeah.
But not anymore.
Really?
Judge Waddups, federal judge Clark Waddups, in December struck the section of Utah's bigamy statute that can be applied when someone, quote, cohabits with another person to whom they are not legally married. So cohabitation is now legal in Utah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wow.
That
charges
changes
a lot for the polygamists in this state.
It does.
Having to be underground doesn't seem... That just removed one of the major obstacles to being out
Right.
as a polygamist.
Yep. Basically, Waddups just said that now the state was, and the filings from the state, from Utah, attorneys for Utah, said that polygamy was inherently harmful to women and children, and the state had an interest in deterring it. But apparently not.
Huh.
So there you go. Polygamy, still not legal.
Inherently harmful that seems like that's a serious claim. That
It's a
needs
serious claim.
backing up.
And they didn't do it.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm on the record as saying I'm all for the legalization of polygamy.
Yeah, sure.
As long as everyone's an adult and consenting.
Yeah.
And adult means over 14, in case anybody's wondering. It means over 18. But,
right.
But in Utah, I think 16 you can still get married.
16. Yeah. But I don't know that we need to make the actual... I guess a group marriage. I just have to think that one through for a second. Because that's what you're talking about. Is multiple people all entering into a legal marriage contract with each other.
Right.
I'm trying to just think... I see reasons why you would want it. If these people are all interdependent on each other, it makes that in death, it makes dealing with that a lot easier.
Right.
It makes separations and divorce have, teeth.
Indeed.
It better safeguards the children. But I'm wondering that if it has to be legally recognized for me. I'm on the fence about it, I think.
I just feel like...
I don't have any problem. If it happened, I wouldn't think that the world is coming to an end.
Right.
But
Just
I have to
seems,
figure out
it
if
just
I'm
seems
actually
like
for it.
it's a legal contract. Now, this may be a conversation for later in our show, actually. But it seems to me that this is adults entering into a legal contract and a financial arrangement.
Yeah.
And I don't see any problem with it. Oh, by the way, I just looked it up, and in the state of Utah, 16 and over, 16 or 17, so 18 years and over, they can just get married. 16 or 17, a parent or legal guardian must be present to sign consent.
Oh, okay.
If the applicant is 15 years of age, an authorization to marry must be provided by a juvenile judge in the court a juvenile judge of the court, exercising juvenile jurisdiction in the county where either party to the marriage resides.
Wow. So it can happen.
It can happen.
Could happen at 15.
It could happen at 15, not 14 or under.
Right.
But that's just crazy. 15 years old.
I wonder when and how often that has ever happened at age 15.
Clearly,
that seems
law,
like just something to like. I don't even know.
That's
why
a
you
law
need
that was
clause.
passed to help polygamists.
You think?
Oh yeah, I think so.
But they only really marry their first. So, but anyways, whatever.
Well, now it's anyway. At very least, the Browns arrangement is legal.
Is not illegal.
It's not criminal.
Is not criminal. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yay for them.
Yeah.
Well, I found a little thing on Reddit that caught my attention.
Oh yeah.
Not a news story, but a thing.
A thing.
And it is and some of you may have already seen this. I think it's been out there for a minute or two.
Just a couple days, really. I think.
And it is a 3-page document. I guess it's not really a letter that somebody received from his parents after he left the Mormon church, from his Mormon parents after he left the Mormon church.
Right.
And at the top, and the only thing that's redacted on the whole thing are the names of everybody involved. And so it says house rules for Jim Bob, for the kid. House rules for blank. And this is like, it caught my attention clearly because it's Mormons.
Right.
And
it's to do with with leaving the church, which
sure.
is of importance to us.
So I started reading through it, and while I've never seen something collected up so succinctly in one spot, it really, really sort of rang true to me about Mormonism and about how Mormon parents can be. Not all Mormon parents are this way,
sure,
clearly, but I could see exactly where all this was coming from, and none of it stood out as like, that's Mormons aren't that way. This is an exception,
right?
This is while maybe not the majority, it's at least a good portion. I could see doing and something like this. Maybe not typing it up.
Maybe not everybody would push it this far.
Yeah.
But some of this has happened to lots of people. 3
or 4 of these little bullet points might have happened to this person.
Right.
3 or 4 might have happened to this person. Unfortunately for this kid, they all happened to him. So anyways, I just kind of wanted to run through these and just maybe talk about the ones that stick out to us.
Yeah.
The first one is, you are no longer allowed to live with us, and staying overnight is discouraged. Okay. Point 2. We will not support you financially in any way. You are currently being removed from our insurance and cell phone coverage.
Oh,
that's dickish.
That's pretty dickish.
The insurance is dickish. Maybe make him pay for his own phone if you're going to be a complete asshole. But Obama, the latest reforms are your kid can be on your insurance till they're 26.
Now it may increase their premium. Maybe he has to pay his portion of his $6 a month or whatever.
I don't care.
That's
that's absolute bullshit.
It's crazy.
3, you may not be with your sisters unless there is adult supervision.
Holy shit.
Yeah. 4, if you want to visit, you must notify us in advance and receive permission. If you do visit, you will participate in the following activities: family prayer and scripture study, family home evening, attend church meetings, etc. family home evening was FHE.
Right. Family home evening is something that Mormons do every Monday. They're supposed to spend with their family.
Yeah, an hour or two. Turn off the TV.
Talk
It's
about
a nice thing.
Yeah,
Actually,
sure.
family. The idea of like a family just like getting together and doing a group activity on
Just
a regular basis
making sure that
is great.
Making sure that once a week you do it. Now, mind you,
But Mormons find a way to make it horrible.
right? Of course, they ruin it by like. I mean, some
By
families are
being
fun.
Mormon.
Some families just see it as fun time, but some families are like, let's have a scripture study and let's have blah 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 blah. And let's like my father-in-law apparently talked to his girls almost. There was a period where he talked to them basically exclusively about their virginity and protecting it. Like it was that was all that he would talk about on family home evening every single week.
Well, he did have all girls.
He had all girls.
It was the only thing on his mind.
He has to
It
protect
was
them.
the only thing on his mind.
On his mind. And what's great is that Mormons call that being morally clean,
Mm-hmm.
as if morals have to do with nothing other than making sure that hymen stays intact.
Your chastity.
Your chastity, right?
5. Speaking ill of God, Christ, and or the gospel will not be tolerated. No swearing or foul language is allowed. Okay. Number 6, no illegal substances or alcohol/tobacco will be allowed in the house, nor will you come into the house under the influence of any of these substances.
Of course, because as soon as you leave the church, the first thing you do is snort the marijuana
Yeah.
and start,
Yeah.
smoking the heroin.
And what I love is that, like, if you read the comments underneath, one person was like, well, there clearly was something else going on here. And it's like, no, you don't know Mormons.
No,
Like,
no.
They
think that as the second you leave, you just turn to a life of sin. This kid is already a prostitute.
Oh, yeah.
This kid is already like,
Guaranteed.
yeah.
Yeah.
They
Absolute
have
mess.
walked out of
He-
the arms of Jesus and into Satan's balls.
And when we get to the next section of this letter, you will hear that.
Right.
You will hear plenty of that. Number 7, if we find out that you have participated in any illegal activity, we will report you immediately.
Because fuck you.
Holy shit. Because there will be consequences.
Yeah.
Now, today, for your actions. 8, there will be no sexual activity within the house. 2, and including the watching of pornographic material on any computer or internet device. 9, no R-rated movies or inappropriate computer/video games are allowed. 10, you may not bring any friends into the home that participate in any of the above said activities.
That participate in them.
In the said above said activities.
Excuse me, do you watch R-rated movies? Get out!
You are not allowed.
You are not allowed in this house, young man and friends.
And then the next section is titled Our Reasons for the Rules.
And that now good, because I'm glad that they were willing to explain where they're coming from, because it seemed really harsh before,
Right.
but
Now they're going to back it up.
they have an opportunity to calm
say,
me
you
down.
know,
Calm me down, because I'm a little upset by how harsh that seemed.
We've made this decision because of this thing that you've done.
right.
We've
Reasons.
done it because of this other thing that
All
you've
right.
done.
So we should all feel better after the reasons.
Right.
Why don't you start reading them?
1, you are a liar. We know that you don't feel bad about it because you don't apologize. You are comfortable lying and are developing bad habits or developing habits of low moral character.
Now, here's what you have to understand. I love that it starts with just, you are a liar.
Yeah.
But I'm going to just declare right now that the rest of this thing makes it clear that the lie that they're referring to is that this person has said that they don't believe in God or don't believe in the church anymore.
Right.
And that's the lie.
That's the lie. Because clearly, how could you not believe in God? You believe in God. We know you believe in God.
You're a liar.
You're a liar saying that you don't believe in God.
You don't believe the church is true? Liar. You don't believe Joseph
Why
Smith
are you
was a...
lying? You
Right.
are under the influence of the adversary.
Right. You're just lying to us. You're a fucking liar.
A frickin'
Oh, you're a flipping liar.
flipping liar.
And I don't flipping stand for that in my own house.
In my flipping house. 2, you do not honor your parents or elders. You refuse to listen or / follow their advice and counsel. You are so prideful that you won't admit times that when you were wrong. You argue and disagree with us even when you know we are right. You would rather be deceitful and hurt or offend others than admit your mistakes. And that's where you argue and disagree with us, even when you know we are right.
Even when you know we're right.
You know we're right.
We're clearly, obviously right. You know it. You're a liar. You're deceitful.
God. 3, you do not care about this family. You are not even willing to try to regain your testimony so that we can all be in it together forever. You have hurt us all and continue to do so and show no signs of stopping your hurtful behavior. Again, his hurtful behavior is not believing in the church.
Right. It's, you know full well that what you need to do is come back to the church. See, this is okay. This
and that
one
means he does not believe, he doesn't care about the family, because you're going to break up this family forever.
I think this is the crux of the Mormon dilemma. Beyond what all the other Christian sects have to say when someone leaves their church, the Mormons have this concept of family, which I find somewhat horrifying, because there's plenty of people in many families that you wouldn't ever want to see again.
Right.
That you'd be like, thank you, death, for taking me away from that person in my family.
But they believe that you are glued together for eternity.
Eternally together. And this is a big selling point that they love to tout.
It's a selling point for moms.
It's a selling point for moms. It's a selling point for
dads, too.
Yeah. I mean, the idea is...
It's not necessarily a selling point for children.
It can.
I was always just like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
But it is a selling point for anyone who's lost a loved one.
Oh, absolutely.
Or blah, blah, blah. It's you will get to be with them again forever.
Yeah.
But what that means is...
Seeing
as soon
them
as
on
you
occasion, fine.
Right, exactly. I'll visit you in heaven. Sometimes. Throughout eternity.
I still love you.
I love you dearly.
I just can't stand
I'm going to be in this other part of heaven, though. Is that okay? But what that means is that when a kid leaves the church, they're not just embarrassing the family, or, you know, maybe they don't get to go to heaven and we're worried about you not going to heaven or whatever.
Right.
They're breaking up the eternal family.
Oh, yeah.
They're ruining your lives, not just in this life, but forever.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's the extra, like, bullshit that is heaped on the Mormon thing. It's crazy.
4, you are a bad influence on your sisters, and we cannot trust you to be around them. All right, that speaks for itself. 5, you are a hypocrite. You claim that you want to find truth, but make no effort to follow the Lord's pattern. You say you're trying to find truth? It's right here.
We already told you what it was.
Yeah.
We already told you the truth.
You are a hypocrite.
You lied to us. You said you want to find the truth. Clearly you don't. We told you what it was, and you don't believe us. We're older than you, you little shit.
Yeah. In the same conversation, so this is the same thing. Okay. You said that you wanted to know if it was true, and later said that you were completely ambivalent about it. You tried to deny the testimony you obviously had as a child and a young man. You expect the Lord to grant you proof of the gospel when at the first sign of doubt you turned your back on him.
This is brilliantly crafted. The Mormons have done a great job here, because what they've done is two things. A, Mormons encourage their little kids to declare their testimony of the church.
They'll sit there and whisper it into their ear to speak over the podium at church.
That's right. So in front of the entire congregation, a little kid will get up and the mom will be like, I'd like to bear my testimony. I'd like to bear my testimony that I know this church is true. That I know this church is true. And
everybody sits there and is like,
oh, it's the cutest thing.
Oh. And I was
he
always
has a
like,
testimony.
What are they doing to this child?
Right.
Let the child learn a few things and then say it.
Right. And it's different in different wards and whatever, but yeah, that can be.
I'm sure that's seen everywhere.
Anyway, the idea is that they think that equates well, you and I were discussing this whole how you had a testimony thing,
right?
Because you were saying, yeah, I used to say I had a testimony,
yeah,
but it wasn't real.
Right.
Like there was still doubt. You were going through the motions of what was expected of you.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And I did that for years. I mean, as a little kid, it's the only thing I knew.
Right.
So I just went along with it. It was my whole concept of the universe.
Right. Exactly.
So I know. Of course, I know this is true.
Right.
And then I got a little bit older, learned a little bit more, so just started thinking, for myself a little bit, and just doubts. I had doubts about certain aspects of it. But the whole time, I wanted it to be true.
Sure. So you say the
entire
words.
time.
Yeah.
And so I was doing everything that I could to, including going on a 2-year mission,
Right.
to do what I was supposed to be doing in order to at some point down the road be given this testimony that seemed to come by everybody else so easily.
Right. And
so,
I was on the other side of that coin where I believed deeply that it was true.
Yeah.
Every fiber of my being believed it. And then the switch flipped.
Mm.
And I went, oh, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And so in either of those scenarios, this family is wrong. Like, yeah, I used to say the words, I have a testimony.
Mm-hmm.
What does that have to do with right now?
Nothing.
The fuck does that have to do with me right now?
You were a liar, though.
There is that.
And a hypocrite.
There is that.
Let's see. It continues to go on. Don't need to read that. It said the next section is, we will joyfully welcome you back when, 1, you are ready and willing to give the gospel a fair chance.
A fair chance.
Yeah. Because clearly he hasn't.
No.
2.
And believe me, I know lots of people who left the Mormon church. Maybe 1 or 2 of them just didn't care and just left.
Yeah.
But most of the people that I've met who have left the Mormon church agonized over it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fucking agonized.
Yeah.
Gave it so much more than a fair chance. So much more.
Years.
Including
years
myself.
past what would be considered a fair chance.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2, you have made a sincere apology to all the family for your lies, selfishness, and disrespect. 3, you are willing to admit that you have been wrong and recognize the need to change. 4, you truthfully repent of your sins and make an honest effort to become the man that your patriarchal blessing has promised.
Yeah.
5, you are ready to follow the advice and counsel of your parents and are teachable. This kid sounds like a real shit.
Yeah, that's follow the advice of your parents. I love that. Like, yeah, we'll gladly welcome you back when you shut up and take what we say as gospel.
Yeah. And then finally, the last section's finally, you have spurned the most important teaching ever taught to you by God and by loving parents and are intent on following Satan and the world. You have turned your back on your family and the gift of eternal life together. You have traded the truths of the gospel and the wisdom of God for the paltry knowledge of men. You presume to know more than God who created you in all things. You have given up the chance to become a great man of God, a great teacher of truth, a testifier of the Lord Jesus Christ, a worthy priesthood holder with access to the power of God on earth, a wise man with the companionship of the Holy Ghost to tell him the truth of all things. Instead, you are satisfied with being a man of low moral character. You are now, because of your poor choices, someone who is unkind, selfish, prideful, and a liar. You have even deceived yourself into rationalizing your behavior, trying to convince yourself, your family, and your God that your poor choices are actually good. You refuse to see all those that all those choices have hurt you, your parents, and your family. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so
You're
it
a
keeps
liar
going.
even to your damn self.
Yeah. And then at the very end, there's another paragraph of them bearing their testimony.
Right.
And then at the very end, it's all redacted out, but it says, this is where the signatures were. They didn't really care to format it like a legal contract. They just wanted my signature on it as if they would need to prove it to some third party later that I had read it.
I wonder if he signed it. I wouldn't.
I would have just been like, I've read it. You know that I've read it. That's fine.
Yeah, we're okay
This is
here.
bullshit.
Yeah,
Everything about this is bullshit. But they probably were like, then you don't ever get to visit us again.
Right.
You never get to see your sisters again.
Which they're basically saying anyway.
Which is
fucking
yeah.
bullshit. And what's really amazing is that, 2 years from now, they will have flipped on most of these things. They will see. It may take longer than that, but eventually they'll see the kid as a good kid. He's not a problem. He's still helpful. He's still kind. He's still a good person.
Right.
They'll realize that, they'll go to their bishop and be like, our kid was blah, blah, blah. And their bishop will be like, dude, this happens all the time. It's fine. Chill out.
Yeah.
And eventually they'll just, they'll start wanting him back in their lives.
Right.
But for now, they are certain about everything. Oh, boy. Well,
I don't know. These
good luck
parents
to that
may
dude.
never come around. This letter is ridiculous.
Yeah, but honestly, I could totally
These are the
see
kind of parents who do disown their children.
who might. It's possible that it could go that direction. But let me tell you something.
This is Mormonism has softened. This is what a modern Mormon disownment looks like, in my mind.
Sure.
It's this like, you will never be unsupervised. You'll be this. You'll be that. We love you, but you're being a shit, and we also hate you.
Right. We love you, but not in the ways that you would be able to tell.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But all I'm saying is, my father-in-law could have written this letter. When my wife decided to leave everything, and when she moved in with me, and when we were living in sin, he could have written this letter. He did half of that shit. He banned us from, we're not allowed to talk to her little sister Whitney about anything, and we're not allowed to do this, and blah blah. Like, this shit was done.
Oh my god.
And now,
So ridiculous.
and now, of course, she's welcome back into the household and blah, blah, blah. We'll never try to do laundry at their house ever again.
No.
There's a whole laundry incident
I witnessed.
to which you were party.
Yeah. I was like, Jesus Christ, they're just doing laundry.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We got kicked out of the house. Yeah. Anyway, long story. But the point is he came around. He loves us. Mom always loved us, but she was, of course, subject to his rule. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna switch us to a happy story.
Yay.
Well, it's not entirely happy, but I feel good about it.
Oh.
So this was sent in to us by Jake, who is also AKA Korahor. He's written into the show a couple times.
Oh, Korahor.
Yes. Okay. And Jake wanted us to be aware of a young man, a British fella, named William Pooley.
Oh.
29-year-old. He's a nurse. And this kid he went to Sierra Leone to help out with the Ebola outbreak.
Oh, okay.
Actually, he was out there for another reason, but when the Ebola outbreak started, he stuck around, and he went right to the heart of the matter. He was at ground zero.
Wow.
Where patient zero was. Like, he was right in the middle of the shit.
Yeah, okay.
Well, apparently, he has been positively heroic.
Okay.
I mean, this guy, when other nurses and doctors were, fleeing, he fucking stuck around.
Okay. All right.
Other healthcare workers were there. We're there for a while, and then there's 50 patients and no one there to care for them.
Jesus.
And he fucking stuck around.
Okay.
He showed leadership. He was apparently inspirational.
Okay.
Well, he finally he was spending 12-hour days there, and he was careful. But you spend 12-hour days in a place, you're going to slip up at some point.
Right.
And he caught the virus.
Oh God.
So he's been trekked back to the UK where he's being treated.
Okay.
But the reason that this that we bring this up is that I recently read a quote, and I don't remember who it was by. It was some Christian douchebag who basically said, why these people, why you always hear about Christians helping people out in the world? Because nobody else does it. You don't hear about Buddhists going out there. You don't hear about Muslims going out there. You don't hear about atheists going out there because Christians are the only ones who go out and help. Well, our buddy, Mr. Pooley, is a humanist.
Oh.
So I just wanted to put out the applause for him. we need to do a little bit more research. I hope he recovered. This story's a few days old.
Okay.
And so I don't know what his status is. As of this story, he was recovering. He was recovering, but it's too early to tell.
Right. Okay.
There's no cure for this disease except your body wins.
Right.
And if your body wins, great. If your body doesn't win, you die. So it's a tricky one. But apparently he some quotes here about him. Dr. Oliver Johnson, who's been treating patients in Freetown, said, he's an extremely modest guy. He wasn't at all interested in recognition. He would be cringing if he knew the media were talking about him. But in a very quiet way, he would work enormous hours to help protect the other staff.
Wow.
In the darkest days in Kenema, it was really his determination and leadership that motivated others to keep going there and to keep the hospital open.
Wow. Ugh.
I just wanted to, yay.
Go humanist.
Yeah, he's my fucking hero, that kid. Just he's just a guy who had the training. He knew what he needed to do. He went out there and he fucking did it.
Yeah.
So,
of course, it's not just Christians. Stupid shit.
I know. But if anyone ever tries to tell that to you, dear listener, you tell them the story of one Mr. William Pooley.
Yeah. We need more of those stories.
Yeah, we do.
Stories collected up.
We do. Because we don't hear about it a lot. Because, again, when you're a Christian and you go out to help, you talk nonstop about your Christianity.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do.
Right.
But when you're an atheist and you go out and you help out, that's not the point. The point has nothing to do with what you do and don't believe, other than you believe in helping humans.
Uh-huh.
So you don't make an issue about, nobody goes out there and says, hi, I'm with the non-Christian, non-religious group to help. You just say, hi, I'm with the helping group.
Right.
So,
I don't know.
Or you're just a guy. So congratulations to him, and gosh, I hope he gets better.
No kidding.
We need guys like that in the world. So there you go.
All right. Well, if you'd like to chime in on anything that we've been talking about, maybe you have a good story about an atheist doing something good.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens.
Sure. We've heard from a couple of atheists out in the Peace Corps field.
Yeah, we know you're out there.
Yeah.
Let us know your story. You can send us a voicemail message by calling 424-666-8442.
Right, or write to us at podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can also leave a comment or message us on Facebook. Our Facebook is facebook.com/TGIAtheist. You can also tweet at us at TGIAtheist.
Yeah, and we'll tweet back or something.
Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe we'll there's a little star button that I can press that says that I favorited something.
Yeah, you got all kinds of options at that point.
Or I can respond. I can reply, I think is what it says.
Yeah.
And it's all very fun. Very, very interesting.
All right. We're going to hear somebody talk?
Yeah, we were going to take a quick break, as usual. And as is very common with us, it's Pat Robertson.
Yay.
And he's got... with Robin Williams' passing, there are some issues that have been on people's minds.
Indeed.
What is your God? Is it money? So when you get money, what's going to happen? Is it fame? So when you get fame, what's going to happen? You see these very popular people in the media who commit suicide, like Robin Williams recently, and you say, what is the deal with him? What happened? You find people who are at the top of the game in music and they're strung out on drugs. What happened? What was their God? Well, you see, the God of the heathen are idols. And everything that you seek in life can ruin you unless that something and somebody is God himself. He can fill your every need, and he won't disappoint you, and you won't want to commit suicide after you have come to him.
Oh.
Well, that explains
That's
it.
the solution.
The God of the heathen. Do you feel this is an interesting thing. Like, he jumps to the assumption that anyone who doesn't have his Christian God
Right.
has a God.
Heathen God.
What is your God? Is it money? Is it fame?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's so funny because at this point, it's such a foreign concept to me. Like, if he
Right.
said, what is your God to me? I would be like, I literally don't have one.
Right.
I don't have any God.
Right.
I don't worship at any idol.
Right.
I have nothing. Like,
But there
do
are
I value
things
money? I value money insofar as it can get me something.
Right.
But no further. I don't think I value money half as much as Pat Robertson does.
Interesting.
I mean, but I wouldn't know that. I don't think I have a God. I don't think I bow to any idols.
Then I think his next thing would be, where do you spend your time? I think it would be, where do you put the focus of your life?
Right.
And I think that's what he would say that your God
Right.
is.
Which, if you ask that of most Christians, they'd say God, but if you look at their time spent, it's something else.
It's clearly fried foods.
Right. Although he does have a very good point there about how no Christians ever commit suicide. nobody who ever puts God at the center of their lives
No
ever.
true Christian. Nobody who really has Christ in their heart. Clearly, some Christians have committed suicide, but they didn't. Christ was no longer in their heart.
Right. By that point,
Dan.
they had given up entirely.
How dare you, Dan, insinuate
It's a
or
good point.
come out and say so clearly?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways.
So we had some people write into us.
Oh.
We have some friends out there in the ether, and they've written to us.
How nice.
Thought I'd go through a few of
Please do, Dan.
their missives. We were written to by one Mr. Rabbi Gruber.
Hey, Rabbi Gruber.
What's up, Rabbi? He was talking to us about Richard Dawkins. We had a few people write into us because last week we said that Richard Dawkins should not have a Twitter account.
Yeah.
We said a lot of things, but that was one of the things we
But
said.
that was the gist of it for me.
That was the main thing.
That was the thing that I was like, okay, let's see what happens.
Dawkins, you're not good in 140 characters. You're good in 50,000 characters.
Great.
You're pretty good.
And if there was an online medium that was like 50,000 characters or less,
Right.
I would say go for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
What
would
would that be called?
I don't know.
Not chatter.
No.
It still has to be longer than chatter.
It would
Blather. You get to be on Blather. You can't be on Twitter, but you're gonna. We'll give you a Blather account.
up to 50,000 characters.
No, over 50,000 and over. You have to go over 50,000 characters. Anyway, so Rabbi Gruber had a few things to say about that.
That's funny.
He said he's reminded of our fellow secularist Adam Carolla, who admonished that it is much more important to look at what people do, not what they say. We get way too worked up about this stuff. Dawkins was expressing an opinion, albeit a stupid one. Now, what we had talked about was Dawkins had come out and said that all children, if you find out that your fetus will have Down syndrome, you should abort that baby and try again.
That's the moral.
It would be immoral.
It would be immoral, is what he said.
To carry that child to term.
Yes, to knowingly bring a Down syndrome child into the world.
Right. And we took him to task for that because shut the fuck up. That's stupid. But then, so yeah, I mean, look at what, and then I think the other thing that he's referring to when he says that, when Rabbi Gruber says this, is that we said that as a mouthpiece for our movement, he doesn't necessarily have the right to say anything he wants.
As a de facto.
Right.
And that's the thing that we're that I think we were also calling on him. Maybe we didn't state that very clearly, which is you need to recognize that you are a mouthpiece, basically.
Clearly he does recognize it because he's got a foundation.
But he needs to accept the responsibility that comes with that.
There's this responsibility to the movement. He's not just speaking for himself.
Exactly.
When he says something, when he says anything, the headline becomes prominent atheist says X.
Exactly.
And that's the problem.
Right.
And he needs to be aware of that. So I don't think it's as simple as he's just expressing an opinion. But there you go.
Right.
Rabbi Gruber also said the Humanist Manifesto 3, in departing from its precursors, specifically touches on the fact that the whole idea of having something resembling a humanist movement is that it should allow for as many variety of as much variety of views as possible. Now, I agree with that. Variety of views is fine.
Yeah.
I just think that once you're the sort of a de facto mouthpiece of a movement, you get fewer.
Just be a little more careful.
Yeah, things change. Things change. But I do think a variety of views is vital, and I think that having that
And in the right forum. That's the other thing.
and in the right forum, I mean, I think that's a conversation worth having.
Absolutely.
The question of, should you abort your child?
It actually is a discussion that we need to have.
Absolutely.
With medical technology being what it is, we need to figure out, like, what are we comfortable with as far as, like, deciding which,
Where do our boundaries lie?
Yeah.
I think that's a vital and a very good conversation to have. He's not allowed to tweet about it. You can't tweet.
He is allowed to tweet about it. We are saying that maybe he should think twice.
He shouldn't have.
About tweeting.
Should,
and that he should not have.
Right. Yeah, indeed.
And I think we're allowed to say that.
Yep.
So
anyway, Rabbi Gruber had a lot of other points, but I just wanted, thanks for writing in.
Yeah.
I got to get to some other emails.
Do you have more about Richard Dawkins?
Why don't you play the voicemail?
Yeah, because it ties into something that Richard Dawkins said.
Right.
Hi, Frank and Dan. This is Jessica from Texas. I was listening to your most recent episode when you talked about Richard Dawkins and some of his interesting comments he'd made recently, and I thought I would offer the perspective of somebody who has a little bit of experience in the mental health profession, but also mostly this is as a survivor of molestation as a child and acquaintance rape or date rape as an adult. So I don't really think it's appropriate to try and decide somebody else's experience. Well, it would have been worse if it was a stranger. But I think you guys are already on board for that. So here's a few reasons why it sucks to be raped by a friend or a loved one. So when a stranger rapes you and you stop trusting strangers, does anything really change? It doesn't. I mean, we're all taught you don't trust strangers, you don't give them your phone number. But when a friend or a loved one rapes you, then who do you stop trusting? You stop trusting your friends. You stop trusting your loved ones. It's harder to have a relationship with a man if you're not sure at what point he's going to become a rapist, because it's not like rapists wear T-shirts that say, hey, guys, I'm a rapist. Trust me, I wish they did. It would make a lot of things easier. A lot of people also don't take seriously date rape. And they say, oh, you're leading him on. Well, why did you go on a date with him? You let him buy him dinner. It's pretty easy to actually encounter men who think that if they buy you dinner or a drink, that the woman owes him. So all of these kinds of things can have really long-lasting impacts on your social life, your ability to form relationships. And I mean, what's more hard than when you can't trust your own friends or your own family? When you can't trust your husband or your boyfriend, and you can't enter into those types of relationships without being afraid at some level of what could happen, and not just being afraid, but knowing what can happen. So that's a really, really messy psychological area that I don't think it's appropriate for somebody to jump into that and assume that all survivors have that same experience. Well, you know that. Anyway, thanks for the podcast. Thanks for discussing some difficult subjects and doing it in a really respectful way. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Jessica.
Wow.
And thank you for sharing.
I think, it's funny because obviously when you're a man and when you haven't dealt with a lot of these issues personally, you're not going to see a lot of these things coming. And I hadn't thought of the loss of trust in that way as being the casualty of acquaintance rape.
Yeah.
And that's, stranger rape is devastating, of course.
Yeah.
I don't think one person's experience necessarily equates to another person's.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so, just to be clear, what this is referencing is a tweet that Dawkins did that was talking about stranger rape is bad, or rather, date rape is bad, stranger rape is at knife point is worse.
Right.
And I think for many people, I'm sure that's true.
Yeah.
But as Jessica points out, Jessica, was that her
Jessica,
name?
yeah.
As she points out, it's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
And fuck you, Mr. Dawkins, because you don't have any say in this. Like,
Right.
you're not a healthcare professional, a mental health care professional.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what business do you have even wading into it?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's his opinion.
Yeah.
Which,
does he have a right to that opinion? That's my question.
Well, I think people have rights to their opinions, but you don't necessarily. Again, this is using his best judgment,
right?
And saying, you know what, I am an expert in X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
I am not an expert over here. Maybe, perhaps, I shouldn't wade into this.
Right. Exactly.
He can have an opinion that he says at the dinner table.
Right.
He's allowed that.
Sure.
And then someone at the dinner table, hopefully, shares a story similar to Jessica's. Well, hopefully they haven't had the same experience that Jessica had, but they're able to express Jessica's sentiment.
Right.
But most likely there is somebody at the table. That's the sick part about this.
That's what's awful about it. Yeah.
And so it's. Yeah. Anyways, thank you, Jessica.
Yes.
And
amazing. And
it really crystallized what I was feeling. Mm-hmm. And the sort of the instinct that I had of rejecting the sentiment from Dawkins.
Right.
It was like, I don't buy it, but I thank you, Jessica, because that gives us the words to.
And thank you also for being willing to share your experience
and
open up like that. That's so helpful for everyone.
Yeah.
So that's great. We were written to by Zara, who said, "Hi, dear Frank and Dan, I was homeschooled, and my parents tried to shelter me from sex as much as possible. Mm-hmm. Unlike most of my peers, I did receive sex, quote, education, but it was via a booklet and cassette program purchased from Dr. James Dobson's Focus on the Family. Oh. It was focused on menstruation and how babies were formed, and had no other diagrams of external female genitalia, just the important bits, a bisection of the ovaries, uterus, and vagina."
The non-dirty parts.
Right. Or the parts that you can't see. There was also a diagram.
Right. That's why they're not the dirty. Well, anyways.
I think it's still... Anyway.
I meant like the dirty parts. Like those parts. That's anyways.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
Anyway, there was also a diagram that implied that French kissing would inevitably lead to intercourse. And then after that, my boyfriend and I would feel so much shame that we would break up.
Oh.
Well, I mean, that's verifiably true, obviously. Obviously, if you French kiss with someone, it's going to lead to sex, and then you're going to break up in shame. That's just how life works.
Okay.
The pamphlet is right. Anyway, thankfully, my parents were relatively technologically illiterate, and I discovered Scarlet Teen at the age of 17, and all of my real sex education was both informative and entirely consent-focused. I had to look that up. It's a website. It's really cool.
Oh, okay.
A great resource for kids who want to learn about sex.
Fantastic. All right, cool.
For those of you out there who are kids or who are grown and still don't know a lot about sex, go there. Scarlet Teen. Scarlet and then een.com. She goes on, my best friend, a boy, was even more sheltered than I was, and in the past, when we've talked about our childhoods, we've discussed our respective masturbation materials. Song of Solomon, the dictionary, the Encyclopedia Britannica, and the mothers in our homeschool groups nursing. Most were, quote, quiverful families. That's a creepy movement in the evangelicals. We've also come out of this with some interesting sexual quirks. During my entire teenage years, I had rape fantasies. Wow. This is apparently very common among sexually repressed women, since the imagined situation takes away the guilt of the participation in sex.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And I only discovered in the past year that it's not normal for straight women to fantasize about other women. Turns out I'm bisexual. Oops. As for my friend, he also had rape fantasies and gets turned on by ankle-length denim jumpers. Love that. Oh my God. I totally get that. Like, for the longest time, I had these, I would be turned on by what Mormon women wear, which is not remotely sexy.
I love a man in a suit.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's a good legitimate one.
yeah, exactly.
But
did you love a
guarantee
man in a
you-
bad Mr. Max suit, an ill-fitting Mormon-y type suit? Didn't really matter. Suit and tie.
It's a suit and tie.
Sure.
I mean, the better it fits, the better, of course.
Right.
But
a suit and tie.
it's a suit and tie.
Sure.
That's important.
Let's see. Where now I've lost my place.
Wearing, of course, a T-shirt.
Yes. Oh, right. On a darker note, she's talking about a friend, remember. He was sexually abused by an older male friend of his on at least 40 separate occasions, and he didn't know anything about sex or consent to be able to even know it was abuse until he was well into his 20s.
My God.
Yeah. You should definitely read more of the articles on Homeschoolers Anonymous. Mental health problems abound in homeschooled adults, mostly mood, compulsive, and eating disorders.
Oh my God.
Thankfully, HA has helped us boost our voices to the point where we're finally beginning to make a dent in the propaganda. The Homeschool League Defense Association, or HSLDA, has been spewing out for the past few decades.
Yeah. Wow.
So thanks, Sarah, for writing in. That is an interesting perspective on homeschool. I've always been reluctant to fully denounce homeschool because I think that I'm sure that there's some homeschooling
There have to be
situations
some examples
that are fine. Some that are great, I'm sure. Like if you're luck into great parents who like are better teachers than the education system in your podunk town, okay.
Right.
But I mean, it's mostly these evangelical Christians or these like super fundamentalist Mormons or whatever. It's people who are trying to shelter their kids.
Right.
And that has deleterious effects.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thanks for that.
It's the sheltering more so than the form of their education.
Right. Yeah. It's not the education. It's the sheltering. That's the issue.
Yeah.
Robbie wrote in from Australia. I have read that some polygamous societies in the past have ended up with lots of men who were unable to get wives as there were not enough women to go around. How did/does Mormon polygamous groups deal with this issue? Now, you know a little more about this than I do, so I'll let you take the
Okay, so in this is mainly more sort of your southern Utah kind of compound style polygamy.
Right. We're not talking about Cody Brown here.
Yeah,
We're
so
talking about...
if you've seen Big Love, we have both examples.
Right.
We have the suburban style, which is our protagonist and his 3 wives. And then we have the compound that he came from.
Right.
Right. We're talking more about the compound here. The compound communities, which I don't think they actually use the word compound. I think that's more of a Big Love
well, we use it.
mistake. But anyways, but they just kick the boys out. And there's actually a really, as the boys start to get to sexual maturity, somewhere in their teens, they start to become a problem for the older men to have the attention of the young women. And so they remove them from the equation. And a good documentary on the subject is, and it was made here locally, the Sons of Perdition, I think is the title of it, by Tyler Measom. It's a pretty good look into that whole thing. Yeah. I think it was at Sundance 5 years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago,
something like that. Yeah.
There are others that are out there. I'm sure you can just find documentaries or just specials on it. Often they're called Lost Boys,
right? In
sort of Utah speak. Lost Boys tend outside of Utah refer more to the kids from Sudan
or Peter Pan
or Peter Pan. But in Utah, if you hear it being talked about sort of a problem group, it's these young men who are kicked out, and they wind up usually like in St. George, Utah, which is it's a larger city. Not a big city, but it's a large community. And that's usually sort of the landing place. There's some service providers who've started to pick up on the fact that this community needs some outreach done to them.
Right.
And so there are little nonprofit groups that are starting to try to provide services.
But
there are also just people with big hearts who try to help out.
Yeah.
One of whom is featured heavily in this documentary, Sons of Perdition, and he's actually, I think he's now serving time. He was part of the takedown of John Swallow and Shirtlift. He was involved in that whole thing.
Okay.
So not necessarily the best guy when it comes to using money for political influence, but he was helping out the kids. So.
Well, and yeah, there are groups of homeless kids from these communities that sort of stick together, and they just live together, under whatever viaduct and stuff. It's a very sad story.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you brought it up. Thanks a lot, Robbie. Yeah. Way to go. Anyway, I just wanted to read. I'm going to read one more. This one's from Samantha, and I only want to read it because it gives me a chance to tell a story. Hey, Frank and Dan, love the show. Quick question. What's up with the popcorn popping on the apricot tree song?
Oh, that's the question?
That's the question.
I don't know what's up with it.
It's okay. So this is a song that the Mormon kids sing in primary, which is
do they still sing it?
I think they do. Yeah.
Okay.
I looked it up. It's on their. It's on the current website. It's in the current songbook for the kids.
I know that they were trying to do away with the non-Jesus-y, like Book of Mormon-y songs.
This one is so beloved.
It's a fun song.
It's literally it's a song that has nothing to do with Jesus or religion at all.
Anything. It's just fun.
It's about spring. The first line of it is, "I looked out the window and what did I see? Popcorn popping on the apricot tree." It's about the blossoms and whatever.
Yeah.
What I think is amazing is that song is so ubiquitous here in Salt Lake City, and so well known that a friend of mine was in a training for teachers. She's a middle school teacher. Mm-hmm. She was at a training for teachers, and the trainer was from back east somewhere, and can come out and said, "So when I go like this, what does everyone think of?" And she flashed her hand. She made fists and then opened them up, and then made fists and then opened them up. And everyone in the room said, "Popcorn popping on the apricot tree." And she said, "What the fuck?" Because she was doing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star.
Right. But those are the hand gestures that go, looked out the window. What did I see? Popcorn popping on. And you do your hands.
You do your hands. You
like
make
popcorn's popping.
Your hands are the kernels of popcorn that pop. And she went, "Whoa, I've never seen that before," because everyone in the room
just knew what it was.
Had a totally different thing than what apparently everywhere else in the country, that's Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star.
Yeah.
But in this little enclave, that is popcorn.
We do that a lot here.
We have our own things.
We have our own thing.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. It's a song. They love it.
That's funny.
It's a cute little song.
It is a cute
I think
song.
the God Makers, when they were trying to discredit the Mormons,
they played footage of the kids doing popcorn popping on the apricot tree in slow motion
to make it look really
with ominous music playing over the top, and the children are like, "Popcorn popping,"
and they were trying to make it like these are these satanic hand gestures that the kids are doing.
And the God Makers was sort of a very infamous anti-Mormon film from the 70s.
Yeah, something like that. Propaganda film.
80s, I think.
Something like that. Anyway, thanks for writing in, everybody. Appreciate that. So let's move on, Franklin.
Okay.
I wanted to make an announcement. I think this is very important.
Oh, yeah.
I think that, it was so big, I couldn't even just put it in our news segment. Everyone, Brad and Angie got married.
Oh, thank God.
I know, right? Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt finally tie the knot.
He's made an honest woman of her.
Well, I don't know that. But I know that they're married now. They got married in France.
Nice. Oh, in France. Oh, beautiful.
Très bon.
Oh, my God.
So beautiful. I'm sure it was a lovely ceremony.
Surrounded by 7 children?
Surrounded by all 50 of their children. The ones that are older than them couldn't make it. No, I'm just kidding.
How do I get on that list?
Yeah, exactly.
As an adult adoptee.
Yeah, adopt me,
Angelina.
Brad and Janet. Brad and
Brangelina.
Brangelina. I almost said Brad and Janet is what almost sounded like it was coming out, but no.
Huh.
Angie, Angelina, Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So what does this have to do with anything?
Well, here's what's interesting. They are atheists, both of them. Or both of them have, in various ways, said that they don't have a God belief.
Sure.
Which makes them atheists in my book.
Right. Okay.
And they were in no hurry to tie the legal knot, as it were.
Yeah.
They've been together for, forever.
Right.
And they don't, it's always been this question, when are you going to tie the knot? And they'd just be like, no, whenever, it doesn't matter to us, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
At one point, they said what me and my wife said, which was that we would get married when it was legal for all of our gay brothers and sisters to get married.
Right.
We abandoned that position.
So did they.
So did they. We're all turncoats for you queers. Sorry.
Must be nice just being able to get married whenever you want.
I looked at the most recent map, and it looks like about 20 states in the United States have legal gay marriage now.
Pending.
No. That's the ones that have it.
Really?
Yeah, and then a whole bunch more that are pending.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Including our own fair state.
Yeah.
So anyway, what this has brought up for me, I've been to several weddings recently of friends. I'm not overly fond of weddings myself, but I've been to many of them. And I've been reading this book. I'm in a play right now, and I have this book that's a prop. And actually, I sit on stage and read for an entire scene. So I could either just pretend to be reading, or I can just read what I've got in my hand. And what I've got in my hand is actually a book of wedding ceremonies. It's sort of a book that helps people who are officiating weddings, and it has several different ceremonies throughout. Yeah. And I've been shocked by how many current ceremonies. This is a recent book. How many current ceremonies still have shit like, and the man says, I take you to be my bride. I give my things are your things, and I will lead you in our life together. And then the woman says stuff like,
accept your things and we'll follow you wherever.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Your friends are my friends. Your God is my God.
Ew.
And I will follow you. Yeah. A whole lot of misogyny in that book. I was like,
dear God.
So that stuff's still very much there, which I find, I will submit to you as you submit to God.
Right.
Which is an echo of what happens in the Mormon temple ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's got me thinking about marriage and what the fuck the point is of marriage if it's not a religious thing. You hear a lot of Christians talking about it, and they say, marriage is a religious ceremony, and why is the state getting involved? It's to do with our religion. And then you hear a lot of non-religious people say, bull fucking shit, let me get married, I have the right to do it, and you don't have the right to tell me that I can't.
Right.
And I obviously fall in that second camp. I think that gays should have the right to marry. I think anybody should have the right to marry as long as they're grown. But I'm wondering what the hell it is. What is marriage? What is it for us? So I thought I'd throw that out to you. Do you have any thoughts on the matter?
Oh, God, who knows? My thoughts, unfortunately, at this point, and relationships are not.
Well, yeah.
Anyways, but
you're not in a fantastic position right now. You can still talk about it.
I can still talk about it. Yeah, I'm in the middle of a breakup, everyone. But anyways, yeah, whatever.
He'll be fine, folks.
In the end, I'll be fine. And right now, it's a tough time. It's still a tough time. But anyways, what do I think? I think clearly. I mean, it isn't it already just what the legal definitions are? I mean, that's all it has to be. It's just about rights, privileges, and responsibilities. It's about, protecting property. It's about joining property. It's about sharing. It's about taking responsibility for each other.
Right.
It's about giving that responsibility to the other person and saying, I trust you with making critical decisions about me.
Right.
If needs be.
That was the one that
it's defining this person as your true next of kin. This is
Right.
the person who gets it all.
right.
You are fully 100% committed to that person.
It's true. And
You know.
when you said making the important decisions for me,
Mm-hmm.
and that trust and trusting someone with that was eventually the reason why Andrea and I gave up on our position not to get married until
Right.
I mean, we were already we had given up quite a bit by not being married for a while. We couldn't be on each other's insurance,
Right.
and that cost us a lot.
Mm.
But we were willing to give that up. But once I realized that if Andrea went to the hospital and something horrible happened, I could be shut out from decisions,
Mm.
and that her Mormon parents, who would do things that she wouldn't have wanted, could step in and make all those decisions for her.
Right.
We realized that's not what we want. We
Right.
realized that we needed the legal right to step in and say, we're the ones that make the decision for each other,
Right.
not you.
Right.
So that's an interesting point. I think that's part of it. For me, that was a huge deal.
Okay. Well, what else?
Well,
And how do you turn that into vows?
now that was an interesting thing.
You know,
I have offered.
I accept. I take the Andrea and the medical decision-making responsibility that comes with that.
Indeed. Right.
You know, it's not very romantic. It's
I
not very
entrust
poetic.
you with knowing what I would want for a funeral.
Knowing that I would not want to be on the machines, and knowing when the right time to pull the plug would
Right.
be.
Exactly.
To stop feeding the feeding tube, to let me starve to death
And
on a bed somewhere in hospice care.
and once I'm dead,
Yes.
to instruct the people to have me stuffed and placed in a
Donated to whatever museum might take me.
exactly placed in a
If not a museum, in the window as a mannequin.
to fulfill my lifelong dream of being a mannequin. No, I think that it's I think that was an interesting thing, because as I'm reading through this little book, I'm thinking about the fact that I've offered myself as an officiant.
Mm.
I will, I've had a couple people who have been like, if we get married, Dan, would you be the one who marries us?
Wow. Already lined up.
Well, yeah, I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but fine. I mean, it brings up the question. And then you go to someone's wedding and they say a bunch of shit that doesn't mean anything to me.
Mm-hmm.
To having to hold in sickness and in health, that's all nice. But like, what is it for?
Yeah.
And
Well, to having to hold in sickness and in health is what we were just talking about. That is the more poetic.
Right. And that's it. But then you get all these officiants who launch into the advice portion of their talk. And that's where it goes wrong.
I actually have a really good example of that.
Oh, okay.
I went to a friend's wedding. God, I think it was this last spring, I want to say. Could have been last fall.
Okay.
I think it was this last spring. But my sense of time sometimes can be a little screwy.
Sure.
But that's neither here nor there. And I know the woman much more than I know the man. In
Sure.
fact, I barely even know the guy. But she doesn't believe in God.
Right.
And he's sort of in the exact same boat, but I'm not quite sure where he is. But I know they absolutely did not want a religious ceremony at all.
Yeah.
And they were this was actually up at Red Butte Garden. So it was like this beautiful, botanical garden setting. And they just wanted to be out in that kind of setting and have just their commitment made in front of their friends and family. And that's all they wanted. So they asked, I think it was his brother, to the groom's brother to officiate.
Sure.
So he goes through the whole thing and has never really, I guess, demonstrated a lot of this is again my understanding of who this person is because I don't know him. Has never really demonstrated too much religious fervor.
Right.
But for whatever reason felt the need to inject religious sentiment through this little ceremony.
Right.
And it was mortifying because these two people, all they wanted was just a nice, simple thing with nothing
Right.
religious involved. And instead this Yahoo just decides all on his own, oh, well, this is what you do. This is what a wedding is, and starts in on this stuff. And it wasn't sort of the pre-approved what they had talked about. And so, but this is why you need to get somebody who is committed to your worldview,
To your secularism.
to officiate.
Right.
No, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You need to know that person. If you're asking, you need to know 100% where this person is coming from, and know that they're not going to take liberties.
Well, there's no more embarrassing moment than when two people who aren't getting married in the Mormon temple, but are sort of still vaguely connected to Mormonism, have a marriage outside of the Mormon temple.
Yeah.
Because then they have a bishop come in, and he starts saying so much shit. It's inevitable. He's going to start talking about stuff that they're not participating in. Like,
They're instructed to do that.
yeah.
No, the bishop, like, there's a little handbook for how to officiate a wedding that's outside of the temple. And that handbook has specific instructions to put in reminders about the fact that they are not being sealed in the temple.
And there are any number of reasons why they might not be sealed in the temple, but it's a very, very awkward thing.
Oh, it's awful.
It's the worst. But even sort of the more traditionally, there's secular ideas out there that I still don't think apply anymore. At least in my worldview.
Well, like what?
You hear a lot of this whole thing about marriage is about compromise, and marriage is about two people becoming one. And I think those two sentiments are actually two dangerous sentiments, and I don't like either of those at all. First of all,
two people becoming one, I immediately get, but there's compromise in relationships.
There is, but I think what's missing from that sentiment is the idea that it's not. I don't know. One time I had a therapist, actually Paige, who's been on our show.
Okay.
He and I were talking. This was after I was getting a divorce and things were, from my first wife. And I was really trying to sort myself out. And he said, you know what? When you talk about compromise, what people end up envisioning is he likes to rock climb every weekend and she likes to go whitewater rafting every weekend. And neither of them likes the other thing. So the compromise model is, well, we'll both just go up into the mountains and canoe on a lake. She won't get quite as much thrill as she gets when she's whitewater rafting, and he won't get quite as much thrill as he is when he's rock climbing, but they'll both see the mountains and they'll see the water and it'll be nice. And his idea was, fuck that. Go do you, and then come back and once you've experienced how great your life is, you're not giving up your life to be with this other person. Live your thing, even if you have to be separate from each other for a while. Even if he has to go away for 2 weeks on his own to do this thing, or she has to.
Right.
Come back to each other and share an enlivened you with this person.
Yeah, I guess my mind never would go to saying that compromise. First of all, to make the whole like canoe on a lake thing work in my mind, I'd have to imagine that this couple can't ever not be apart.
Well, I think a lot of people go to that place.
I know, and that's sort of, I wouldn't be in a relationship where I couldn't go do my own things.
Right.
So I guess that's not the kind of compromise. I guess when you said compromise, I'm thinking about the things that you have to figure out in order to live together.
Sure.
Not, okay, you have these activities, you have those activities. Like, you're going to have to compromise on a paint color or on a sofa or on, is it time to purchase whatever, right? Like, those are things that you have to negotiate and figure out.
Phrases like marriage is about compromise and phrases like two people becoming one are about sort of set up this model of losing one's own identity and becoming part of this Borg collective idea.
And I think the problem with marriage is about compromise is usually there's one person who's compromising.
Well,
right.
Or there can be.
You know what I mean? Like,
marriage is about you compromising, honey, not me.
I think that's where it goes a lot.
I think a lot of the time
a lot of relationships there's one person who's being rigid and one person who's giving in.
And the person who's rigid doesn't see it.
Doesn't. Of course they've compromised.
Right.
But whatever.
So, I mean, I think that those are the kinds of notions that I now bristle against. And I hear them all the time. And as far as I'm concerned, two people becoming one is exactly half the number of people that you need for a happy, healthy marriage. You need two. So don't become one. Anyway, I just think that it's interesting to talk about marriage. I mean, and I don't think that marriages, I've talked to a lot of people about this. I don't think that marriages have to be monogamous sexually, necessarily.
Not necessarily.
They can be.
That's a negotiation that takes place between two people.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that I eliminate that from my...
Honey, you need a compromise because I'm going to go have sex with this.
Right. Right. No, that's one that needs to be negotiated. And probably before you get married, it should be talked about.
Yeah.
You may not come to a resolution on it necessarily immediately. You may know that you want to be married to this person and not know how that ends up looking.
Sure.
Another thing that Paige told me was that there's the only thing that can possibly prepare you for marriage, unfortunately, is marriage. So you may not do it right the first time in a way that you like. So, it took me twice. I had to do it another time to get it right for me. But I mean, I think that, if I were officiating a service, I don't think I would mention sexual fidelity because it's none of my business. Who you guys sleep with? That's your business.
Well, you could give them a form that says, check here what you guys want and what your positions are on these things and be like,
Right, exactly.
Okay, I'll say something about monogamy because they think they're entering into that relationship.
But to me, it's more important to talk because these are vows, right? We're making vows here. And to me, if your marriage isn't altering over time, you've stagnated and and it's not going to be a good marriage.
Yeah.
Your marriage will alter as you alter and you should be changing. Humans change. So I think the vows need to be a much more general thing than than rules.
Yeah.
It's not a bunch of rules.
Yeah.
It's about protecting each other and loving each other and caring for each other and being open to who that other person is.
Well, the other thing that I would want to throw out there is sort of the idea of why does a marriage need a wedding? This
That's
big,
another good question.
I mean, having people around and clearly legally, you have to, say a couple things. You have to announce that yes, I do, and yes, I do, and you have to sign the paper, and you have to have two witnesses, right? And there has to be somebody officiating.
Unless you're in Colorado, in which case you only have to sign the paper, and that's it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, in the state of Utah, I know.
Yeah,
you do. And so, anyways, so there's that.
Yes.
There's that part that has to happen. But why? And I get the whole throwing a party thing, but I do have a little bit of a problem with the whole traditional, walking down the aisle and the music and the flowers and the this and the that. And this is just me as probably just a guy who's just like, a party, a reception, I totally get, right?
But the ceremony?
The ceremony is a little like, it's steeped in something else. And even the ceremonies that you go to that are, in a natural setting and and it's just, some non-clergy, non-religious thing that's being done, it still is coming from that. And I think that it's hard to really, really escape from it. For me personally.
I hear you. I think that there, I've heard it stated that the reason for the ceremony is to make these vows public, to make this thing public, and to engage the family and friends of these people and say, you know what, we're a village here, and we're all and I actually heard about one ceremony that I wasn't present for, but sounded really cool that had all of the people sitting at the wedding say something
that they'll help,
agree
they'll
to
help to the provide help to the couple.
Right,
I've been
to
at
support
least two
them
that were that way.
And I think that there's something nice about that. Like, this is a community. We're engaging you in this bond.
Yeah.
There's something cool about that. I don't know where I fall on that, but there's something cool about it. But yeah, I mean, I've had 2 marriages and never had a wedding. I've eloped twice.
Oh,
so.
Dan, that's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
Is it?
No,
no,
because I
not.
object to the whole thing.
Right, exactly. Which is why I know about Colorado's laws, because that's where I went.
Both times?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Because you don't need an officiant and you don't need any witnesses. You just sign the paperwork, call it good. You're married.
Do you do it in front of a notary at least?
Nope. The first time I got married, technically I got married in bed. We wandered all over Colorado looking for a fun place to get married, and eventually we were like, well, let's just do it here in bed. We're in bed.
All right. Well, fine. All right. Good for Colorado.
Anyway, if you guys have anything to chime in about, tell us what marriage is, because I think we're a little confused still. So tell us what your marriage is about or what you think marriage is. You're very confused.
I'm not confused.
You're wildly confused.
I'm not confused, Dan.
You can write to us at podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can leave us a voicemail at 424-666-8442.
Or go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
Or there's the Twitter feed,
which is also at TGIAtheist.
And our website is thankgodimatheist.com.
Where you can go, by the way, and look up stuff about our campaign to have you resign from your church. Where
Get
you can,
out of there.
Yeah, and you can email us and we'll get you your atheist card.
Yeah.
That's still we're still working on it.
Yep.
But we've got all of your emails. We're compiling them.
We're looking to share your stories.
We're looking to share your stories. If you've got a story about leaving your church, please please send it to us.
And be sure to let us know what your comfort level is with us sharing that story.
Are you okay with us
just
publishing your letter
us,
without your name? Are you comfortable with us publishing it with your name? What do you want us to do?
Yeah.
Let us know. Also give us an address and a place where we can send your card.
And we'll send it to you.
And we'll send it to you. Thanks to Miss Mackenzie for all her hard work on the Facebook page.
Absolutely. And thanks to the Red Rock Hot Club for letting us use their music.
Yep. Thanks to all of you for listening.
Bye-bye.